Have you ever noticed that when you put a banana next to other fruits, everything seems to ripen way too fast? One day they're fine, and the next they're soft, spotted, and nearly overripe. It almost feels like bananas are sabotaging your fruit bowl. But this isn't bad luck, it's science. Today we're uncovering the hidden chemical signal behind this fruity chain reaction and answering the question, why do bananas ripen faster next to other fruits? Right here on History of Simple Things. Before we talk about bananas influencing other fruit, we need to understand what ripening involves. Ripening is a biological process where fruit changes in color, texture, aroma, and sweetness as it transitions from unripe to ready to eat. During this process, complex carbohydrates break down into sugars, cell walls soften, green chlorophyll pigments fade, and a whole orchestra of chemical changes plays out inside that tasty snack. This transformation is triggered and regulated by plant hormones, tiny chemical messengers that tell the fruit when it's time to ripen. And one hormone has earned a reputation as the superstar ripening signal, ethylene gas. What is ethylene gas? Ethylene, also called ethene in chemistry, is a very simple gas that acts as a plant hormone. It's produced naturally by many fruits as they mature and plays a crucial role in ripening. Think of ethylene as a ripen now broadcast, a tiny molecule that tells fruit cells to begin the cascade of changes that make fruit softer, sweeter, and more colorful. What's fascinating is that ethylene doesn't just affect the fruit-producing process. It can also influence nearby fruits if they are sensitive to its signal, like a ripening broadcast that spreads through the air and tells all nearby fruit to start the clock. That's where bananas come into the picture. Not all fruits emit the same amount of ethylene, and even fewer respond to it in the same way. Bananas are what scientists call climacteric fruits, fruits that continue to ripen after being harvested and release relatively large amounts of ethylene as part of that process. Other climacteric fruits include apples, peaches, pears, and avocados. Once a banana begins to ripen, it starts producing ethylene. That gas then triggers biochemical pathways in the banana itself, speeding up starch breakdown into sugars, softening cell walls, changing pigments, and turning the peel yellow and eventually brown. Here's the interesting part. That same ethylene can waft over to nearby fruits and tell them to ripen too. Apples, pears, tomatoes, and others are sensitive to ethylene and will respond by accelerating their ripening processes. Imagine that ethylene is like a broadcast signal. A ripe banana is beaming that signal out into the surrounding air. Nearby fruit hears that ethylene message and reacts, softening faster, turning color sooner, and becoming sweeter more quickly than if the banana weren't there. This doesn't happen because fruit talks as we do. It's purely chemical communication. Ethylene binds to receptors in the cells of the fruit, which triggers genetic and enzymatic pathways that control ripening. As different enzymes break down starches into sugars, soften tissues, develop aroma compounds, and degrade chlorophyll, the fruit transforms into a ripe state. So, putting a banana next to other fruit is like having someone shout, "Ripen now," into a megaphone right next to your produce. That nudge speeds things up. But here's an important detail. Not all fruits respond to ethylene the same. Climacteric fruits like bananas, apples, and peaches ripen in response to ethylene signals. On the other hand, non-climacteric fruits like strawberries, grapes, and citrus don't ripen significantly after picking and don't respond as much to ethylene. That's why putting a banana next to some fruit seems to make them ripen faster, while others barely change. For example, grapes you grab from the fridge one day might stay about the same tomorrow, even if they're parked right next to a banana, because they're not as sensitive to that gas signal. Now that we know the science, we can use it to our advantage, or avoid it when we don't want accelerated ripening. The paper bag trick. A classic method for speeding up ripening is to put a banana or other ethylene-producing fruit in a paper bag with other fruit. The bag traps ethylene around the fruit, increasing its concentration and accelerating ripening. The paper lets some air pass through, preventing excess moisture buildup that could cause decay, separating bananas to slow ripening. If you don't want your fruit to ripen too fast, keep bananas away from ethylene-sensitive produce. A few feet of distance, or even another shelf for your bananas, can help slow down the spread of ethylene influence. Using temperature to control ripening. Temperature also plays a role. Ripening reactions proceed faster in warmer conditions and slower in cooler ones. That's why bananas ripen more slowly in the fridge, even though the peel might turn brown, and faster on a warm countertop. These tips show how a basic understanding of ethylene and fruit biology can help you get your produce just the way you like it, ripe but not mushy. Wait, so bananas cause other fruits to ripen? Yes, but not because bananas are magic. They're natural ethylene producers, and many fruits respond to that hormone by speeding up their own ripening processes. In enclosed spaces, like a bowl, bag, or fruit drawer, ethylene builds up more and can have a stronger effect. Something else worth noting: bananas also increase their own ethylene production in response to ethylene exposure. That means ethylene doesn't just influence the neighbors, it can create a feedback loop that makes the banana itself ripen even faster once the process has started. So why do bananas ripen faster next to other fruit? They naturally produce ethylene gas as they ripen. Ethylene acts as a ripening hormone that tells fruits to begin their ripening processes. Nearby fruit that responds to ethylene will ripen more quickly when exposed to it. Enclosed spaces trap ethylene, amplifying its effect. It's biology doing what biology does best, communicating through chemistry, responding to environmental conditions, and turning an unripe fruit into something sweet and delicious, sometimes too fast for our liking. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.